Earth had always been a quiet planet in the eyes of the galaxy. To the Galactic Council, it was little more than a backwater world, primitive, slow, and insignificant. Humans were clever, yes, but their technology lagged far behind the advanced species that ruled the stars. Yet no one could have predicted the storm that was quietly forming on the blue planet. In the orbit above Earth, the first signs of danger arrived without warning. A small fleet of alien ships, sleek and dark, slipped past Earth's early warning satellites. They were rogue raiders, a faction that had long lurked at the edge of Council space. Their goal was simple: exploit Earth's resources before anyone else noticed. What they did not expect was the human spirit, untamed, unpredictable, and relentless. On the surface, cities sparkled with life, unaware of the threat looming above. Children played in parks, commuters rushed through streets, and scientists debated the latest discoveries in their labs. In these moments, humanity seemed ordinary, fragile even. Yet in the quiet of underground command centers and research stations, preparations had been quietly made for the day Earth would need to defend itself. Commander Elena Rivas, head of Earth's orbital defense, stared at the blinking red dots on her display. The fleet had just entered the system. Her fingers danced over the controls as she issued rapid commands. Alert all stations. Deploy interceptors. This is not a drill. Her voice was calm, but the tension in her jaw told another story. The human defenses were modest, older ships, limited missiles, and inexperienced crews, but she had faith in her people. She had to. Above the Pacific, the first alien ships glided silently, their engines a whisper against the vacuum of space. They assumed that the humans would panic, scatter, and be easily defeated. They underestimated one thing: the unpredictability of human decision-making. In the skies above London, Sydney, New York, and countless other cities, humanity watched in awe as streaks of light cut across the heavens. The first strikes were measured, precise. Satellites were disabled, communication lines scrambled. But the aliens did not expect resistance. From hidden launch bays scattered around the globe, human fighters rose. They were old ships, some retrofitted cargo vessels, others experimental prototypes hastily adapted for combat. Pilots, many of them young and untested, gripped their controls with a mix of fear and determination. For Earth, they whispered, though no one heard them. The first clashes were chaotic. Alien weapons were more advanced, their shields stronger, their attacks faster. Human pilots fell, their ships breaking apart in bursts of fire. But humans had one advantage the aliens could not measure: creativity. When the first squadron's energy weapons failed, Captain Jiro Tanaka ordered his team to fly into the debris field of an old satellite ring, using it as cover. From this vantage, they launched surprise attacks that disabled 2 alien cruisers in a single strike. On the ground, civilians watched the skies light up in colors they had never imagined. It was terrifying, yes, but also exhilarating. People came together in ways that surprised even themselves. Emergency services coordinated with volunteers. Scientists collaborated with engineers, and strangers helped strangers with calm precision. Humanity was raw, unrefined, and entirely unpredictable. A force the alien raiders did not anticipate. The Galactic Council, seated in their chambers thousands of light years away, monitored the situation with increasing concern. The news reached them in fragments: small fleets lost, strange tactics employed, unexpected resistance from a primitive species. For the first time, a council observer paused. Could this species really be more than they seemed? Back on Earth, Commander Rivas observed the unfolding chaos with a mixture of pride and anxiety. The alien ships were powerful, yes, but their arrogance was their weakness. "They think we will surrender," she murmured. "They don't know humans." In the southern hemisphere, Dr. Amara Singh and her research team worked frantically to repurpose a series of experimental satellites. Their mission was simple but dangerous: turn surveillance satellites into electromagnetic pulse devices capable of disabling the enemy fleet. "We don't have much time," Amara said, her hands flying over the controls. "If we succeed, we buy our pilots a chance. If we fail, well, let's not think about that." As the sun set over Earth, casting its golden light over the battered but unbroken cities, humanity continued to fight. Fires raged in some regions. Debris littered the streets, and yet the spirit of resistance burned brighter than ever. Small victories accumulated. Alien drones were shot down, supply lines disrupted, and communication networks restored using ingenious improvised methods. One of the most unexpected displays of human ingenuity came from a young pilot named Leo Ramirez. His ship was nearly destroyed when his weapons jammed. Instead of retreating, he maneuvered into the shadow of a massive orbital satellite. Using gravity and debris as cover, he launched a daring kamikaze-style attack that disabled a larger alien cruiser. It was reckless, audacious, and entirely human. By the end of the first day, the aliens had suffered losses far beyond their expectations. They began to realize that Earth was not the easy target they had assumed. Humans were resilient, adaptive, and most dangerous of all, unpredictable. Each strike they anticipated was countered with creativity. Each strategy they deployed was met with ingenuity. In orbit, Commander Rivas received a message from Earth's leaders. "Prepare for the long fight," the voice said. "We cannot rely on reinforcements. We must hold our planet." She nodded, though no one could see her. She had already known this. Humanity would survive not because of technology or superior numbers, but because of its people, their courage, their unity, and their unyielding will. Meanwhile, in the shadows of the galaxy, the rogue alien faction transmitted reports back to the Galactic Council. The words were careful, measured, and slightly panicked. "The humans, they are unlike anything we expected. Their tactics, their creativity, it cannot be predicted." The council members exchanged uneasy glances. Perhaps Earth was not the insignificant backwater they had assumed. On the night side of the planet, Leo Ramirez returned to base, exhausted but exhilarated. "They think they can break us," he said quietly to his co-pilot. "They have no idea." Around him, other pilots shared the same sentiment. Fear had not conquered them, it had sharpened them. As the first part of the battle came to a close, Earth remained battered but unbroken. Fires burned, smoke rose, and debris floated in orbit. But humanity had sent a clear message. They would not bow, they would not surrender, and they would fight with every ounce of creativity and courage they possessed. The first day of attacks had left Earth shaken, but not broken. Fires had scarred cities, orbital debris littered the skies, and alien forces hovered just beyond the atmosphere. Yet beneath the surface of fear, a spark had ignited, a spark of determination that would not fade. Humans were beginning to fight back in ways the invaders could never have predicted. In orbit above the Indian Ocean, Commander Elena Rivas reviewed the battle reports. Her eyes scanned line after line of numbers, damage reports, and pilot communications. Losses were high, but victories had been achieved against impossible odds. "They underestimate us," she muttered, tapping the screen with frustration. "They think we are primitive, predictable. They're wrong." She turned to her deputy, Lieutenant Marcus Chen. "We need to organize. The enemy thinks chaos is our weakness. Let's show them it is our strength." On Earth, the population had begun to adjust to the new reality. Civilians became workers, engineers, and messengers. Scientists like Dr. Amara Singh repurposed satellite arrays into weapons, communication networks, and sensors. Farmers and construction workers helped reinforce defense stations and build improvised barricades. Humanity's greatest strength was showing itself. The ability to unite under pressure and improvise solutions to impossible problems. The alien fleet, meanwhile, had grown overconfident. Their sensors could detect ships and satellites. Their weapons could annihilate small cities, and their fleets outnumbered Earth's defenses. But they failed to predict human creativity. They assumed that when humans lost ships and supplies, they would panic. Yet each setback became a lesson. Each loss led to a new strategy, a new way to turn the odds. Captain Jiro Tanaka led a squadron of 12 fighters, older ships retrofitted with experimental energy pulses. They were modest in technology but lethal in skilled hands. Jiro gathered his pilots before their next mission. "They think they can crush us," he said, his voice steady but commanding. "They don't know humans. They don't know our courage. Today we teach them." The mission was simple. Intercept an alien supply convoy carrying vital resources for their orbital base. The fleet was heavily defended, more than double the size of Jiro's squadron. But humans had a plan. Using debris from destroyed satellites, they created a makeshift asteroid field, hiding their approach. As the alien ships drew near, they were suddenly confronted with a wall of fire. Human ships emerged from shadows, striking from unexpected angles. Jiro's squadron used the convoy's formation against it, slicing between cruisers and targeting engines. Explosions erupted. Debris spun through space and the alien fleet was thrown into chaos. From the surface, radar operators cheered silently. Even small victories mattered. Every disabled ship, every destroyed drone, was proof that humans could fight, adapt, and win. On Earth, the Council's ambassadors had already begun observing the conflict with unease. Reports of human victories reached the chambers and whispers of disbelief echoed. "How is this possible?" one delegate murmured. "Their technology is inferior. They should have fallen in hours." Another shook his head. "They fight like a single mind, coordinated, adaptive, almost intelligent in unpredictability." Back on Earth, Dr. Singh had activated her improvised satellite-based EMP device. The first strike was a success. A cluster of alien drones suddenly went dark, spinning harmlessly in orbit. Engineers and pilots celebrated quietly in control rooms. Every small triumph added to the growing confidence of humanity. But humans did not grow overconfident. Each success was followed by careful analysis. Commander Rivas called meetings with pilots, engineers, and scientists alike. "We are gaining ground, yes," she said, "but they are still strong. Every advantage we take must be used wisely. Every mistake can cost lives. Stay focused, stay united." Amid the chaos, individual heroism shone. Leo Ramirez, the young pilot who had previously disabled a cruiser in a daring attack, led a reconnaissance mission deep into enemy territory. His team used stealth, knowledge of orbital patterns, and daring maneuvers to map alien supply routes. The information they returned allowed human forces to strike with surgical precision, avoiding heavy losses. Meanwhile, civilians contributed in ways the aliens could never imagine. Volunteers scanned signals, repaired damaged communication relays, and monitored alien movement from Earth's surface. Even children learned to recognize alerts and follow safety protocols. The planet had become a single organism, every part contributing to its survival. The aliens tried to respond with brute force. They launched bombing runs over industrial centers, attempted to jam communications, and deployed larger ships to intercept human pilots. But every tactic was met with countermeasures born from human ingenuity. When missiles were launched, engineers designed rapid response drones to intercept them. When communications were jammed, alternative networks and visual signals kept operations running smoothly. For the first time, the Galactic Council felt a tremor of fear. Reports flooded in of human resistance that was not only surviving, but countering effectively. "They are unlike any species we have faced," one ambassador said quietly. "They do not panic. They do not retreat. They adapt." Another added, "If this continues, Earth will become more than a problem. It will become a threat." As days passed, humans began to strike back beyond defense. Coordinated attacks on alien supply lines caused chaos in the enemy fleet. Ingenious maneuvers disrupted formations, destroyed fuel depots, and crippled communications. Every move was calculated, yet unpredictable, a combination of planning and improvisation that alien forces could not anticipate. In the midst of the fight, Commander Rivas received a transmission from Earth's leaders. "We cannot rely on reinforcements," the message said. "The galaxy doubts us, but we must survive. The people are counting on you. Keep fighting," Rivas nodded to herself. "We will not fail. We will fight as humans always have, with courage, with creativity, and with unity. We will survive." By the end of the week, the alien fleet had suffered unexpected losses. Ships lay in fragments across orbit. Supply lines were disrupted. Morale among enemy crews faltered. And on Earth, humanity's spirit soared. Despite injuries, losses, and the terrifying presence of the alien armada, people began to realize that they could fight, they could adapt, and they could win. Captain Tanaka's squadron returned to orbit after a successful mission. They were battered, exhausted, and outnumbered, but victorious. "This is just the beginning," he told his team. "They think they can control us. They think they know us. They don't. We will show them the strength of humanity." Even the young pilot Leo Ramirez, once doubtful of his own skills, felt a newfound confidence. He watched Earth from orbit, the blue planet glowing with resilience. "We are not weak," he whispered. "We are humans, and no one can predict what we will do next." In distant chambers of the Galactic Council, silence fell once more. Reports of human victories, of resourceful tactics, of fearless pilots, and united civilians reached every corner. Council members struggled to comprehend how a species they had dismissed as primitive could resist so effectively. Some feared that humans, if left unchecked, could become the galaxy's most unpredictable force. Others wondered if Earth might rise as a symbol of resistance to all who underestimated it. Back on the planet, humans continued to prepare. Resources were gathered, defenses strengthened, and every citizen contributed in some way. From the youngest child to the oldest scientist, every human became part of a single mission: survival and resistance. And as the alien fleet regrouped, preparing for another assault, they would soon discover that the humans' ingenuity was only growing. The calm that had once marked Earth's place in the galaxy was gone. In its place stood a planet alive with defiance, a species united by courage, and a people ready to face any threat. The first wave of attacks had passed, but humanity's rising resistance had only just begun. The galaxy had never seen anything like it. Reports from Earth's system flooded the channels of the Galactic Council. Fleets that were supposed to crush humanity had been destroyed or scattered. Supply lines were disrupted. Alien commanders admitted in secret communications that the humans were unpredictable, audacious, and surprisingly coordinated. In the chambers of the Galactic Council, the atmosphere was tense. Tall, multi-limbed beings, luminescent creatures, and cybernetic diplomats hovered or stood in their assigned places, murmuring among themselves. "It is impossible," said Ambassador Zaylor of the Virax cluster. "Our reconnaissance clearly shows inferior technology, yet they fight, effectively." Another counselor, a floating intelligence called Kivra, responded, "Their victories are not merely luck. Their strategy adapts in real time. They use terrain, debris, and unconventional tactics against us. It is creative, unpredictable, dangerous." Humans, on the other hand, were far from concerned with interstellar politics. On Earth and in orbit, they continued to fight with ingenuity born of desperation. Every day brought new victories, each one more daring than the last. Captain Jiro Tanaka's squadron had been tasked with a critical mission: intercept an alien command vessel that coordinated drone attacks over Earth's cities. Intelligence gathered from Leo Ramirez's recent reconnaissance had shown a weak point in its formation. "This is our chance," Jiro told his team. "If we succeed, the enemy's command will falter and Earth will have breathing space." The plan was risky. Human fighters would need to navigate an asteroid field near Mars, avoid detection, and strike with precision. Jiro's team practiced maneuvers over simulations for hours, but the real challenge lay in execution. When the mission began, the human squadron moved like shadows. Using the natural cover of asteroid belts, they avoided patrolling drones and closed in on the alien vessel. The command ship's defenses were powerful but predictable. Jiro had noticed the pattern in their attack cycles, something the aliens had not anticipated. The squadron struck with a coordinated precision that stunned even themselves. Missiles hit critical systems, energy shields failed under combined fire, and the vessel's communication arrays were disabled. The alien command ship sent out distress signals, but it was too late. Human ingenuity had won again. On Earth, the response to these victories was electric. Citizens cheered quietly in bunkers, scientists smiled at the success of their devices, and soldiers took inspiration from the pilots' daring maneuvers. Humanity was learning fast, adapting faster, and proving that they were more than just a species. They were a force. The aliens, meanwhile, scrambled to regroup. Their fleets were scattered, their command structures in disarray. The rogue faction had assumed that humans were weak and predictable. Every day they were proving themselves wrong. Panic began to ripple through their ranks. Back in the Galactic Council, reports of these events sparked unprecedented concern. "If this continues," Ambassador Zaylor said, "Earth will not only survive, it may dominate its sector. Their adaptability could threaten our control." Counselor Kivra floated silently for a moment before speaking. "It is more than adaptability. It is audacity. These humans do not follow rules. They do not fear. They unite in ways we cannot understand, and they learn quickly." The council decided to send observers, not envoys or ambassadors, but elite strategists meant to assess the humans' potential. They assumed a simple presence would reveal weaknesses, but humans were ready for them. Leo Ramirez and his team had anticipated such an intrusion. Using captured alien drones, they created decoy transmissions, false signals, and traps. When the Council's observation vessel entered Earth's system, it was intercepted not with brute force but with precision tactics. Human fighters forced it to retreat without a single human casualty, leaving the Council's representatives stunned. On the ground, Dr. Amara Singh monitored the battle from her lab. Her team had been enhancing Earth's defenses with every encounter. They had converted surveillance satellites into multi-purpose tools, some for observation, some for communications, and some as weapons. Every new encounter taught them how to improve. "They think they know us," Amara said to her assistant. "They do not, and they never will." The Galactic Council, receiving reports of human ingenuity and audacity, was forced into a new perspective. Humanity could no longer be dismissed. Some council members argued for immediate intervention to prevent Earth from becoming a rogue power. Others feared that acting too aggressively might unite humans further, turning them into an unstoppable force. Back in orbit, Commander Elena Rivas convened a meeting with her key officers. "They are observing us," she said, "but we are not their experiment. We are not their problem to solve. We are humans, and we will fight as humans always have, together, creatively, and without fear." The officers nodded, their resolve hardening. The humans were beginning to see themselves not as victims but as defenders, and perhaps something more. They were a species capable of standing up to the galaxy, a species that had learned to survive against impossible odds. Meanwhile, the alien invaders, growing desperate, attempted to change tactics. They introduced larger cruisers, more drones, and even experimental weapons designed to disrupt human coordination. But humans had already adapted. Pilots used diversionary tactics, civilians assisted with early warning systems, and engineers converted captured enemy technology for counterattacks. Every move the aliens made was met with a human response that was smarter, faster, and more unpredictable. Captain Tanaka led another daring mission, targeting a heavily defended alien resource station in orbit above the Atlantic. Using stealth maneuvers and synchronized attacks, his squadron disabled the station's power supply, leaving the enemy fleet scrambling to respond. The attack was bold, risky, and entirely human. Leo Ramirez, now a seasoned pilot, led reconnaissance missions into the heart of the alien fleet. He gathered intelligence on their formations, weaknesses, and supply routes. Every piece of information was used to plan the next strike, and every strike was more effective than the last. The humans were learning faster than the aliens could anticipate, turning each encounter into a strategic advantage. As news of these human victories reached the far corners of the galaxy, the Galactic Council was forced into silence once more. They had always believed in control, in superior technology, and in predictability. Humanity had shattered all three assumptions. On Earth, citizens continued to rise to the occasion. Engineers repaired damaged satellites in record time. Volunteers helped evacuate civilians from targeted areas. Scientists devised new weapons, defense systems, and communication networks. Humanity had become a single living organism, each individual contributing to the survival and resistance of the whole. Even the youngest children learned the meaning of vigilance. Schools and homes ran drills. Families worked together to maintain safety and order. The aliens, watching from afar, could not comprehend such unity, such determination, and such courage. As the rogue faction began to regroup, they realized that humans were no longer a simple obstacle. They were a threat. Their tactics were unconventional, their coordination remarkable, and their courage unmatched. Each encounter left them more cautious, more fearful, and less willing to underestimate their opponents. Commander Rivas addressed her team one night, overlooking Earth from orbit. "We have survived the first attacks. We have struck back. But this is only the beginning. They will try again, and we will be ready. We are humans, and humans do not yield." The Council, observing the humans' actions and hearing reports of their victories, fell into uneasy deliberation. Whispers spread. Earth might become a symbol of resistance and inspiration to species everywhere. Some feared that humans could alter the balance of power in the galaxy, and quickly. And somewhere among the stars, the rogue alien commanders huddled in fear. "We underestimated them," one said. "We thought they were weak, primitive. But they are dangerous. We must proceed carefully." or risk total defeat. Back on Earth, Leo Ramirez returned from a reconnaissance mission, exhausted but exhilarated. He looked at the planet below, its cities glowing with life despite the attacks. "We are stronger than they think," he whispered. "And we're just getting started." As humans continued to fight, adapt, and rise, the galaxy watched in disbelief. They had underestimated a species they thought primitive. They had doubted courage, ingenuity, and unity. And now humanity was sending shockwaves across the stars. The quiet world that once seemed insignificant had become a force that no one could ignore. And as the rogue alien faction and the Galactic Council struggled to understand the humans, one truth became clear. Earth was no longer a backwater planet. It was a symbol of resilience, creativity, and unstoppable determination. The calm of the galaxy had ended. Humanity had risen, and the shockwaves of their resistance would be felt far and wide. The aliens had grown arrogant, believing that sheer firepower could finally crush the humans. Yet every failed strike, every ambushed convoy had taught the humans to adapt faster than anyone had anticipated. Commander Elena Rivas stared at the map of the alien fleet, her jaw tight with determination. "They've underestimated us for too long," she said. "It's time we go on the offensive." For the first time, humans were not simply defending, they were striking back with precision and planning. Every battle, every maneuver, every trap had been a lesson. Now it was time to turn the tide. Captain Jiro Tanaka's squadron prepared for a daring assault on the main alien supply depot orbiting Mars. The station was heavily guarded, a fortress in the vacuum of space. Yet humans had an advantage the aliens could never predict: ingenuity. Engineers had repurposed decommissioned satellites into stealth drones, programmed to create diversions, sabotage shield generators, and mislead enemy sensors. Leo Ramirez studied the assault plan carefully. "It's risky," he said, "but if we pull it off, we can cripple their fleet for weeks." The other pilots nodded. Their confidence had grown with every success. Fear had not disappeared. It had sharpened them, made them sharper, smarter, faster. As the human fleet approached, the alien defenses activated. Energy shields glowed with ominous intensity, and turrets swiveled to track approaching ships. Yet human drones slipped through like shadows, feeding false data and creating chaos in the enemy targeting systems. Missiles fired only to strike empty space where human decoys had been. From Earth, engineers monitored the strike with tense anticipation. Dr. Amara Singh adjusted satellite arrays, sending pulses to confuse alien sensors further. "Every advantage counts," she said. "This is our chance to turn the war around." Jiro led his squadron through a narrow corridor of asteroid debris, weaving between fragments to avoid detection. Alien turrets fired relentlessly, but humans had predicted their firing patterns. With careful timing, they struck critical nodes on the station, disabling shields and knocking out power to key defense systems. Inside the station, alien crews scrambled to respond. Alarms blared, consoles sparked, and panic spread. Their tactics, once precise and calculated, now faltered under human ingenuity. Every move they made was countered. Every attempt to regroup was anticipated. On the surface of Earth, citizens watched the skies, knowing that the humans in orbit were not just soldiers. They were the planet's shield. Engineers recalibrated sensors, communications teams relayed vital information, and volunteers assisted in keeping Earth's defenses alert. Humanity had become one organism, every part working toward a single goal: victory. The humans' assault was not limited to brute force. Psychological tactics played a key role. The rogue aliens had relied on fear to weaken morale, but humans used that same fear against them. Drones projected illusions of overwhelming fleets, holographic ships appearing where none existed. Alien commanders doubted their own eyes, losing cohesion and focus. Leo Ramirez led a daring maneuver, piloting his fighter through a dense field of enemy cruisers. He targeted their engines with precise strikes, leaving them disabled and drifting helplessly. Every cruiser disabled was a statement: humans were no longer prey. They were predators in their own right. Commander Rivas coordinated from orbit, her eyes scanning multiple screens at once. "Focus on coordination," she ordered. "We hit them where they're weakest, move fast, and never stop. Keep them off balance. Keep them scared." By the end of the first wave, the results were astonishing. The Mars depot was crippled, key supply routes were disrupted, and alien fleets were scattered and demoralized. The rogue faction had underestimated human courage, creativity, and unity. They had thought numbers and technology alone would win the war. They were wrong. Back on Earth, celebrations were quiet but heartfelt. Pilots returned to stations, damaged ships were repaired with ingenious modifications, and scientists began planning the next phase. Humans had proven something to themselves. They could fight, they could adapt, and they could win. The aliens, however, were not done. They launched counterattacks, desperate to regain control. Yet humans were prepared. Sensors detected incoming fleets hours before arrival. Improvised defense systems neutralized enemy fire, and guerrilla-style tactics kept the aliens off balance. Every move the invaders made was anticipated. Every advantage they thought they had was nullified. Captain Tanaka and Leo Ramirez led a combined strike on an alien command cruiser that had coordinated multiple attacks on Earth's cities. Using captured alien technology, they bypassed shields and infiltrated the ship's systems. Explosions rocked the vessel as humans disabled its engines, power core, and weapons. Alien commanders could do nothing but watch as their flagship fell, drifting helplessly into the void. Meanwhile, on the ground, civilians continued to support the war effort. They repaired damaged communication lines, managed supply depots, and even assisted in intelligence gathering. Humanity had become a species that could fight on every front: space, land, and information. Every citizen contributed to the collective effort, making the planet a living, breathing fortress. The Galactic Council watched in silence. Reports of human victories poured in from multiple sources. The rogue alien faction had been decisively weakened. Humans had struck boldly, used unconventional strategies, and turned their weakness into strength. Council members exchanged uneasy glances. Earth was no longer a backwater planet. It was a force, unpredictable and unstoppable. Councillor Kivra floated silently, analyzing the reports. "They are remarkable," it admitted. "We have never seen such coordination and creativity. A species so underestimated has become a threat, and they are only growing stronger." Commander Rivas convened a meeting with her key officers. "The aliens are scattered," she said. "They're weak but dangerous. We cannot let them regroup. Our retaliation must be complete and precise. We finish this or they will come back stronger." Every human involved understood the stakes. Victory was not just about survival. It was about proving that humanity could stand among the stars, that their courage, ingenuity, and unity were forces even the galaxy could not ignore. Leo Ramirez prepared for a final strike in the orbital corridors near the alien home base. His team had studied every weakness, every flaw, and every opportunity. "This is the decisive moment," he told his squadron. "We strike together and we make them remember Earth." The assault was brutal but methodical. Humans disabled key energy cores, rerouted power to neutralize defenses, and used captured alien drones to sow confusion. Enemy ships fired relentlessly, but humans moved with precision, outsmarting every attack. Explosions lit the void as the alien command fleet was systematically dismantled. By the end of the campaign, the rogue faction lay in ruins. Their once feared fleets drifted disabled or destroyed. Supply depots were annihilated. Command structures shattered. The human savage retaliation had been decisive, creative, and terrifyingly effective. On Earth, people celebrated quietly. There were no parades, no grand speeches, just a sense of relief, pride, and awe at what humans had accomplished. They had not only defended their planet, they had reshaped the perception of their species in the galaxy. Even the youngest citizen understood the change. Humanity had fought back not because of superior technology, but because of courage, creativity, and unity. They had turned every weakness into an advantage and every challenge into an opportunity. In distant chambers of the Galactic Council, silence prevailed once more. Members could not find words to describe the human species. Their tactics, courage, and ability to adapt defied all expectations. Some feared that Earth might become a symbol for resistance, a spark for other civilizations to rise. Others simply admitted defeat silently, knowing that the humans had earned a place among the galaxy's most unpredictable and formidable forces. Commander Elena Rivas, looking down at Earth from orbit, allowed herself a small smile. "We did it," she whispered. "We showed them who we are. We are humans and we do not bow. We do not surrender. We fight and we win. Leo Ramirez returned to base, exhausted but exhilarated. He looked at the planet glowing below, scarred but alive. They thought they could break us, he said quietly. They were wrong. Earth fights back, and now the galaxy will know. The human savage Retaliation had left the rogue faction in ruins. The message was clear: underestimate humanity at your peril. Creativity, courage, and unity were forces that no technology could match. Earth had survived. The skies were still streaked with smoke from the battles. Orbital debris floated silently above the planet, and cities bore the scars of alien attacks. Yet humanity had endured, and in enduring, it had transformed. Commander Elena Rivas floated in the observation deck of the Orbital Command Center, her eyes scanning the remnants of the destroyed alien fleet. Every cruiser, every drone, every weapon they had relied on to terrorize Earth was now neutralized, disabled, or drifting in space. She allowed herself a quiet sigh of relief. Humanity had not only survived, they had triumphed. Captain Jiro Tanaka and his squadron returned from the final missions, battered but alive. Each pilot had faced danger, fear, and near impossible odds, yet every one of them had risen to the challenge. Jiro looked out at Earth, its oceans glimmering under the sunlight, and felt an unfamiliar emotion: pride. Not in himself alone, but in every human who had fought, worked, or contributed to the planet's defense. Leo Ramirez sat nearby, staring at the floating remains of the alien command fleet. "We've done it," he said softly, though his voice carried more wonder than triumph. "We've faced what the galaxy called unbeatable, and we've won." Even civilians, those who had never left Earth's surface, felt the impact of the victory. Engineers and scientists had repaired satellites, rebuilt communications, and repurposed alien technology. Volunteers had fed and cared for displaced citizens, ensured shelters were operational, and maintained morale. Humanity had acted as one, turning adversity into strength. Yet the victory was more than survival. It was a message. The Galactic Council, once so confident in its supremacy, had been forced into silence. Reports of Earth's retaliation, of humans' creative strategies, and of their courage and unity had spread across the galaxy. Delegates whispered among themselves, struggling to comprehend what had happened. Ambassador Zayler of the Virax cluster leaned over a console, reading the final battle reports. They cannot be dismissed," he said, his voice trembling. "They are unpredictable, effective, and fearless." Counselor Kivra, floating silently nearby, emitted a soft hum. "This species has rewritten the rules of engagement. They have turned their weaknesses into strengths and their limitations into advantages. Earth is no longer insignificant." The Council debated what to do next, but every option seemed inadequate. Sending fleets to enforce control would be met with ingenious resistance. Diplomacy could not account for humans' creativity and courage. Silence, for once, was the only response that reflected their awe, fear, and uncertainty. Back on Earth, Commander Rivas convened her officers to discuss the next steps. "We fought well," she said, "but this is not the end. We've shown the galaxy that humans cannot be underestimated. We've shown our strength, our unity, and our ingenuity. Now we must prepare for what comes next." Every officer understood the weight of her words. Humanity's victory had not just defended their planet, it had reshaped the galaxy's perception of their species. From now on, humans would be seen as a force capable of challenging the established order. Captain Tanaka spoke quietly to his pilots. "We've proven ourselves in combat. But it is more than that. We've shown that courage, intelligence, and unity can overcome even superior technology. That is something no fleet can destroy." Leo Ramirez nodded. "And they will remember it. The galaxy will remember Earth." Meanwhile, across the planet, civilians continued their work. Cities were rebuilt, systems repaired, and lives restored. Schools taught children not only knowledge but also resilience, resourcefulness, and courage. Humanity had learned that strength came not only from weapons or ships but from unity, creativity, and the willingness to face the impossible. The alien fleet, shattered and leaderless, no longer posed a threat. Rogue commanders fled to distant systems, sending messages of caution and fear. They had learned a lesson the hard way. Humans were not to be underestimated. Every encounter had revealed new strengths, new tactics, and an unbreakable resolve. In orbit, Commander Rivas watched as the last of the alien debris burned in the atmosphere. She allowed herself a small smile. "We've done more than survive," she said. "We've proven that humans can rise to any challenge, that we can fight as one, and that we can make the galaxy listen." Leo Ramirez floated beside her, silent for a moment. "They will listen," he said. "Even the Council knows it now. Silence is their acknowledgement." Indeed, across the galaxy, the Galactic Council remained silent. The reports had been undeniable. Humans had fought, adapted, and triumphed against overwhelming odds. They had displayed creativity and courage that no species had anticipated. Every strategy, every plan, every expectation had been challenged and overcome by Earth's people. Council members realized that Earth was no longer a planet to control or ignore. It had become a symbol, a reminder that ingenuity, unity, and courage could defy even the most advanced technology. It was a species that could inspire fear, respect, and awe simultaneously. On Earth, celebrations were quiet but profound. People had survived an invasion that should have overwhelmed them, and they had emerged stronger. Children played among the repaired streets, soldiers trained for future threats, and scientists prepared new defenses for whatever challenges might arise. Humanity had grown not just in strength but in spirit. Captain Tanaka stood on a viewing platform looking down at Earth. "We've done something no one expected," he said. "We've shown the galaxy that humans are not weak. We are not insignificant. We are capable of anything." Commander Rivas placed a hand on his shoulder. "And they will remember it," she said. "The Council, the aliens, the entire galaxy, they will remember. We've sent a message they cannot ignore. Humanity fights, adapts, and survives, and we are only beginning." Leo Ramirez smiled. "Then let them watch. Let them understand. They have underestimated us for too long. The age of humans is beginning." In the council chambers, delegates remained silent. They had no words for what they had witnessed. Earth's retaliation had been savage, brilliant, and devastatingly effective. The humans had proven themselves a species that could not be measured by conventional metrics. Technology, numbers, and arrogance were no match for courage, unity, and ingenuity. And so the galaxy learned a lesson it would never forget. Earth was no longer a backwater planet. Humans were no longer insignificant. They were a force to be reckoned with, a species that could challenge expectations and defy predictions. On Earth, life slowly returned to a new normal. People rebuilt, repaired, and reflected. Yet beneath every action, every decision, there was a quiet understanding. Humanity had changed. They had faced the impossible and triumphed. They had survived against superior forces and emerged stronger, wiser, and more united. Commander Rivas, Captain Tanaka, Leo Ramirez, Dr. Singh, and countless others had led humanity through its darkest hour, and in doing so, they had shown the galaxy what it truly meant to be human. The message was clear: underestimate humanity at your peril. Their courage, ingenuity, and unity were unmatched. They would not bow, they would not surrender, and they would not be silent.